baby update.
Well, we have a soon-to-be baby update.
We have a soon-to-be, maybe an embryo update.
Last week, Claire and I had our final planning session with our fertility specialist.
It feels like it's been a really long time in the making, because I guess we had like this kernel of an idea when I found out that my fertility was massively impacted by a pretty big operation that I had. We realized, okay, if we are going to do this, we're probably going to need help. It's very, very hard to know where to even start.
When you're thinking about starting a family, to first appointment, the time in between you go, oh, we're going to book an appointment, to the time you actually get an appointment, there's often a big, couple of months that you've got to wait. We've actually only had 2 in-person meetings with our fertility specialist. Both of those meetings have been really reassuring and empowering and wonderful.
Yeah, we always leave feeling like, oh my God, we're going to have a baby. That's what they want you to feel.
Yeah.
It would be, you probably wouldn't go through with it if you left feeling like you wouldn't have a baby. My appendix burst. And it was a long recovery, and we were waiting until I felt physically ready, not realising it will be another year until you're pregnant.
It is a lengthy process.
It's a consideration, because I'm 37, Nina's 35. Like, get it happening. Get it happening.
Yeah. We have also had the fertility counselling. We've got some videos on that.
Oh, have we got a video about that?
Well,
I think we've got a video about that. Yeah, so if you want to go back and watch a video that's about the counselling process, go and check that out. But it was a really amazing...
Super empowering, super informative.
I see a therapist, Nina sees a therapist, but like this counselling is specific to fertility, to the exact process that we're going through and the intricacies of that.
We've done genetics counselling. We've had 2 fertility appointments.
1 billion blood tests.
Blood tests
We had
up the wazoo. Not actually.
Wait, no, that wasn't a blood test up the wazoo. We had... And isn't the wazoo the bum hole?
No.
I'm not sure.
I
Let us know in the
didn't
comments.
even mean about... I wasn't even talking about the ultrasounds. I forgot about them.
Oh, okay. You said up the wazoo, and I was thinking about the internal ultrasounds.
I think I got the saying wrong. I think it's down the wazoo.
No, up the wazoo.
Out the wazoo?
In the waz...
Where is the wazoo? What is the wazoo?
Yeah, up the wazoo. Isn't it the bum hole?
I've never known that. I always thought of it as like a river in my mind or something.
Oh, maybe it is a river. Far out. The coffee is
too much.
Really
That's
giving
bent
us
my mind out of shape.
A lot of information to think about.
So
the first thing is getting the AMH,
the
the
hormone.
anti-Mullerian hormone tested, which is an indicator of egg count. It's not like specific, but it's an indicator of like what we're working with. And mine was like low. So AMH levels, which is a thing that you just go to your GP for. And then we had the internal examinations.
Yes, we had internal ultrasounds. Both of us had them.
And that's to check the health of everything internally, but also they're able to literally see how many follicles are left. And the follicles are what is potentially can turn into an egg each cycle. So some people have like 32 of them. I've got like 8. The next thing was the counselling. The counselling took a long time, and that is actually on us. Don't just book in the week before you want to do it. You got to book in like a month or a couple of months in advance for that as well.
Everything takes a bit more time, so just expect that.
If we were to start again, I would have read everything that comes in the emails from the fertility clinic, because we were like, why is no one telling us what we're supposed to do?
We both wanted a bit of a roadmap or a flowchart sort of a thing.
We both wanted a flowchart, and we were both thinking how ridiculous that this clinic doesn't even have that. Like, no one can tell us what we're meant to do or what we need to have done by the next appointment and blah, 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 blah. Because we actually had our final session with the fertility specialist booked in a few months ago, and they called us and they were like, well, you haven't finished your counselling, so we're going to have to push it back. And we were like, no one told us we were supposed to finish our counselling. And then the other day, I was going through my emails, as I should have done 6 months ago, and there was a flow chart. I do think that this clinic could probably do a little bit better with explaining things, because when we would call and ask for like, what do we need to do, they'd be like, we don't know. And it's like, shouldn't you have a file?
It was a little bit concerning at points when they'd be like, oh, well, you've got to get this particular test done. And I'd be like, well, I had that test last week. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a bit of weirdness. That's a story for a whole other video. It comes back to that thing of any clinic that you're going to, you're one of many people fighting that and getting cranky about that, which we did do at points.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not going to help you have a baby.
Doesn't do anything.
What's going to help you have a baby is going, okay, this is what we're dealing with. While maybe their systems could be better, if we arm ourselves with as much information, actually read all of the emails, and then if we have questions based on that, ask the appropriate people and hopefully get an answer.
Write down the questions.
Like, you think you'll remember everything, and then you go into the appointment and you get like so excited and you're like, Babyland. It was very easy for me to slip into, oh, this is just too hard and blah blah blah, and these people and it wasn't them. It was that they're busy doing their job.
Yeah.
And we are not their number one priority. We are our own number one priority in this situation. So it's like taking responsibility, and I think I could have done that a bit better.
It's sort of like they're doing their job and we also really do have to do our side of the work, you know.
But except that there'll be things that you'll mess up as well and go, oh gosh, I can't believe that I had the flowchart this whole time. Like, oh, this process could have been way faster, but it's just like everything happens when it's meant to happen. I try to tell myself that everything happens as it's supposed to. But easier said than actually felt.
Very true. One of the other things we had to do was the genetic screening.
You can choose to have like a full comprehensive screening of genes,
your
which
genetic
is
makeup,
like that is definitely a whole other video, but we did decide to do that. This is our baby folder.
Got all the documents.
We could draw a picture of a baby on here. Just have all your stuff in one place. I don't know about you folks, but I'm the kind of person that likes to put one form in like my glove box of the car, one form in the bottom drawer in the kitchen.
So things like treatment plan, so it's sort of your roadmap. From our most recent fertility appointment, we were given all of the, what is this called?
Actually, I'm the patient.
Claire's the patient. Claire's going first.
So that's a bunch of scripts for so much stuff that I have no idea what it even is. So we're currently waiting on a phone call from the nurses at the clinic to walk us through what do we do with this. The stuff that I'm going to have to take.
The medication. Basically, it enhances the egg drop.
We were talking earlier about how many follicles we have. So this was all information to me. So maybe this is not news to you, but it was certainly news to me. Let me know in the comments. I have both ovaries. I think it's like 8 to 9 follicles left. So every time we have a period, one of those follicles will get all like wiggly waggly and become an egg. So what this medication will do is, rather than one of those follicles turning into an egg, ideally all of them will. It's kind of like having 8 cycles in 1 month. My fallopian tubes are all blocked up with scar tissue, so they need to take out the eggs anyway to pop them back in where they need to be to safely grow a baby. Otherwise it would potentially be an ectopic pregnancy. I don't know how long the process takes. I think it's like between a week and a couple of weeks. They will go in and they'll suck out each of the eggs.
It may or may not sound like that.
They'll unite egg with sperm and embryo will be created. I think it's like 5 days. They let it kind of wiggle waggle away together for 5 days. Yeah, there's probably it's probably a medical term for it, but wiggle waggle's good, isn't it?
That's a good one.
Wiggle waggle. Then they will put a fresh one back.
That was actually the term that was used.
Put a fresh one back. That's what she kept saying. Ideally, we'll put a fresh one back. Weird. There's a certain amount of eggs, but how many embryos are created from those eggs is like another story.
It's dependent on the quality of the eggs, right?
It's dependent on the quality of the embryo. Like by quality, it's like, is that even going to turn into a baby? Depending on how many how many embryos are able to be created. We may do 2 rounds of egg retrieval on me. It's a 53% success rate. And is really high compared to what it used to be. It used to be something like 15% success rate. So they need to make sure there's enough that we can have a series of tries if they don't result in a pregnancy. Hopefully it will just work great for the first time we go, but it also might not. So the first thing is going and seeing a GP and checking your AMH levels. Next is booking in to see a fertility specialist.
Getting the internal ultrasound. Having your blood tests.
Oh yeah.
And your genetic screening. Doing a little dance. Singing about babies.
Having a little cuddle with your wife.
Buying unnecessary clothing that is really cute and exciting.
Got some pretty cute stuff.
Understanding that it takes a decent amount of time. Get moving. Be honest with yourself and with each other. If there's concerns or if there's reservations, communication is the key. Support yourself and back yourself and know that you're just a human. You got feelings. It can be confusing and overwhelming, and that's okay.
If you want to know more about that first counselling session of ours, make sure you click or tap the screen. Make sure you subscribe and follow along with this wild, wonderful journey that we're on. I sure hope we hit record, because I forgot to check that. We might have just been having a conversation with ourselves.
Wow.